Hello, land investors and outdoor enthusiasts. This is Josh with US Recland, bringing you another video here. This is actually related to the Great American Buyback. It's something we're trying to promote amongst just average, normal United States families to buy back the land that we actually live, work, and recreate on. So this is actually going to be number one in the video series of all the individual concepts that we're promoting within the Great American Buyback. All right. Now, as always, please subscribe to our website, usrecland.com. That way you'll be on our list for emails for any new discounts, land bundles, waived fees, any bundle pack promotions we're running, anything like that. And then also please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell. That way you'll be the first to know about new land inventory listings coming down the pike. We do create videos that overview new land, and then we submit that on YouTube. So if you click the bell and subscribe on YouTube, you'll be notified of those new videos, including educational or informational videos like this one. All right, well, we're going to get into it. Again, this is video one in the series related to the concept that we're trying to promote, the Great American Buyback. We want the just average American families to start thinking about security, success, and live a great life, family tradition, maybe have a vacation property. But as I stated in the overview video related to the Great American Buyback, we're going to kind of work from a necessity standpoint and cash flow optimization and things like that, kind of like need to want, that kind of thing, or just a luxury, I should say, more than a want. All right. So in this case, video series one, what we'd like to talk about is actually what was number one on the overview, which is land can act as peace of mind or a legacy, as a family tradition where the family goes and creates memories. It can also double as a bug out survival shelter if something were to happen to your primary residence and there's civil unrest and you need to get out of Dodge, but you need a place that you can live for an extended period of time. That might be something to look at when you're buying land that you can develop and build a bug out shelter on, or in a homestead. A homestead would almost double as that as well if you're developing that alongside your primary residence. And also maybe you're buying land so you can build a retirement property one day. So all of those, you can overlap those to a fair degree. So that's why I have them all number one, because it's kind of a primary order reason to buy land. So the first concept, and again, we're going to start with scarcity and handling our business, is buying land as a bug out shelter or a place that you could just get away to if you needed to get away from your primary residence for any reason and sustain your family for a period of time. Now, I know some folks don't believe anything like that could happen, and we hope it doesn't, but that's definitely something to look at, especially if you're already in the process of building a land portfolio. You maybe look at some properties and try and put a rubric over them, and I'll walk through that. So if you're looking for bug out shelters, places to prep, there's some characteristics that you're looking for. Now, I'm no expert, but I have a good idea of what I'd be looking for, and this should give you a start. And of course, I would recommend that you take a look at some other folks that might be subject matter experts to get it more details on it. Okay, so let's take a look. And I found this online pretty much. I read through it, and it's pretty much the list I would make, maybe with a couple other things that I didn't think of, honestly. But this is a good one. Persurvive.com, bug out location, /. So feel free to check them out. Again, I have no affiliation with them. Just wanted to kind of give you a visual of, hey, if things were just going in the wrong direction with, civil unrest and political, and you had the unfortunate circumstance of living in an area like this, you would need to get out of town, but you would need to get out of town to a place where you could survive, hunker down, feed yourself, clean water, bathe, etc. Okay, have enough food, etc. So I thought this was a good article, and I'm just going to kind of use it as our points here. So kind of the must-have features of a bug out location: proximity. So you want to make sure that it's in a location that you have access to, and that you know the area surrounding the bug out location, because you might be hoofing it, right? So if you're in the woods hoofing it, you need to know. It's ideal if this area is maybe doubling as a vacation or hunting property, where maybe you've walked around and you kind of know where you're at in the area, you've driven through coming into town for vacation, if it also doubles as a bug out vacation area. So definitely know your proximity from other large cities, where you're at. I think that's a given. I think most people would know that, especially if they own the land, right? You want it to be fairly isolated. I think that might go unnoticed a little bit. You want to kind of have some seclusion and privacy for the bug out location. You don't want to be near a major city. However, there's kind of an antithesis to that. The further you are from a major city, the further you might be away from potential resources and material. All right, so that's something to think about. But I think that the isolation is probably a little more important than having immediate access to go rummage through things in a city that's just been devastated by something, military, Holocaust, or unrest, whatever the issue might be. All right. Sorry, I'm getting all these phone calls while we're trying to go through this. All right. So the next one, obviously the availability of water. So there are water sources in the area, lakes, rivers, streams, mountain springs. Definitely make sure that you have the ability and the know-how to filter the water so that it's potable water. Make sure that the water sources themselves that you might be looking at are the best sources available. If you have a choice, I would definitely avoid stagnant water if you can avoid it. And then even then, you still need to definitely filter the water. Make sure it's drinkable. Have filtering resources for water. Maybe you're stockpiling that at your bug out location. Maybe you're stockpiling bottled water somewhere, but definitely you would want some type of continuous source other than bringing jugs of water with you, of course. Okay, water, self-sufficiency. So at that kind of property, you're probably going to be there a while, and you don't know, it could be years before, or if ever, you're going back to your home. So you might need to supply some kind of power and have energy that you need. So if there's a moving creek, or you have solar power there, again, that turns into, have you kind of set this up for the scenario prior to the scenario occurring? The best time to manage an emergency is in absence of the emergency. So if you have a vacation or shelter in the woods where you go hunting and you start to kind of develop it out further, start thinking about things like this and start developing them. You never know when you might need it. All right. And now this is talking about a small hydro power station. I think folks that have tried to do this, it's a little bit harder than it seems, but it can be done. There's some really cool folks on YouTube that have done their own hydro power stations. And it depends if you're on a mountain and gravity is working in your favor and there's enough volume for the kinetic energy, you might be able to power a lot of things. But if it's just a trickle and you're going to have to create a series of steps and waterfalls to build any momentum, that might not give you that much energy. Although if it powers one thing for you, it might be worth it. But just a word to the wise, you might be looking at all kinds of different power sources. Different lighting might be as simple as candles and other things that are available. Again, I would look at some other folks' website that really do deep dives into that kind of stuff. A lot of cool information on the internet. Okay. All right. And then make sure you have a sound structure for the weather. And I know sometimes if it's just a camping or hunting property, folks will just kind of get by, but you got to think you might be there longer term. So you might need heat or air cooling considerations for that place. So something you might want to consider while you're there. Security and self-defense. What kind of means do you have? You can use the topography and the landscape. Is there something around there that helps you maintain your anonymity to a degree? if someone were to come upon the place that maybe had malintent, do you have firearms available? Do you have other weapons? Do you have other impedances from folks just driving up if you need to be, if there needs to be? Um, so again, I think that's something that you guys can do a deep dive in yourself. I'm just merely presenting some of the reasons to have land and the multi-utility that you have on land. Okay. Waste management, obviously, you'll have to consider that. Make sure that you're wherever that is. If you're digging a hole, make sure it's, I think it's 50 feet away from any water table, water source. So it'd probably be wise to go a little bit further than 50 just to make sure you don't dig too deep and put it in the water table, or maybe you have other means of composting, things like that. And any protection from a natural disaster, things like that. So I would, obviously you want the structure to be resistant of strong winds, but you know, if it's in a floodplain, you can put that up on stilts. The only problem is if it floods through and the water stays, you better have a raft if you need to go to shore to get some more food, if you need to hunt game. So the stilts themselves might save the structure, but if that's the only shelter you have to have a means to travel away from it a little bit, and that might be something you'll need to consider. Familiarity with the area. So if it is in a slightly remote area, you'll want to know where key resources and things are located, potentially key buildings in the area. Maybe you know other families in the area, things like that. Definitely, I would keep track of that. The longevity of the stay, we already talked about that. You don't know how long you might be there. Maybe start stashing some things. So you have 3 to 6 months worth of food stash. There's a lot of good survival food companies and canned goods and things that you could probably buy on sale and just kind of buy a little extra every time you go to the grocery store and take them out to your property when you go out to camp or whatever you're doing out at the property. Again, hopefully you're not just buying land for a bug out area, but there are some things to consider if that's a major concern and utility for the land in addition to any other usages, because the recreation for hunting, a vacation property to build a family cabin and other things, and maybe just a homestead cabin, regardless if there's civil unrest, those are all good reasons, and they overlap very nicely with this, by the way. So it's just always great to have the land and have the multi-utilitarian mindset, if that makes sense. All right. And affordability, again, if you the more utility you have for the land, the more it makes sense to spend a little bit more for the one where all of them intersect. I'm not telling you to spend more money than you should. I'm simply saying when you can start to overlap 2 or 3 reasons for a particular parcel because of the characteristics of the land, where it's roughly located, the terrain, the available natural resources, your ability to grow food, maybe it's just landscape aesthetics. It's got a really nice high elevation where you could put a nice A-frame cabin and look over the valley or the mountain. If you can intersect all of those, even more of a reason for you to pay a little bit more, but still look to find an affordable piece of land. Okay. And what I mean by this is I don't want you to go find the cheapest piece of land if it has all of these characteristics. I don't want you to forego the characteristics that you have personally decided upon for the type of land you're looking for. Because if you've been reasonable in that exercise, you should not deviate from that at all. Or unless there's a simple fix to the land or something that can just make it a non-issue, of course. But definitely don't be cheap if it's the right piece of land. I guess I'll put it that. All right. It's the right piece of land for you and your family. And then we're talking about the legalities in a get out of Dodge kind of scenario. There's likely no law enforcement or anything. You're not going to really worry about that. But I think that's more related to if you purchase land now, while all of the government entities and regulatory bodies are in place and operating, of course, you'll need to follow the laws in terms of how you develop that property. So you need to understand that when you buy the property, right? So that's something to look at there. And then as a bug out shelter, it also would double as a vacation home, maybe even a retirement home. So you buy the land, you have plenty of time to plan, work with contractors, maybe if that's what you're looking to do, to build your retirement home, or maybe a family getaway vacation property where you can build memories and tradition. That's something we definitely want to look at long term. It's great to have legacy through a piece of land and build your your dream cabin on your dream piece of property, and that legacy carries on with your children, great grandchildren, and so on. So again, the bug out filter can kind of double with this a little bit to a certain degree, depending what you're looking for. You could just want a vacation home and you're not worried about that, or vice versa. Okay. But also the homesteading kind of has a foot in both camps. If you're already developing a homestead to be self-sufficient, you've already done a lot in the direction of a bug out shelter. But at the same time, you've probably developed that property and put a building on it. So you've put that on the property in the manner that you choose and like and that you enjoy. But again, it's still got some utility with the self-sufficient. Maybe you have livestock, nice big garden, greenhouses, you've vetted it for water sources and other things. So that's perfect. So if they can all kind of overlap, the circles, if you will, overlap on why you're buying the land, it's a great way to buy land, okay? Because it means something to you, and hopefully you're holding it a long time. But if you hold it, buy and hold, that's a whole other reason, because as you develop that property, it will have more value as well. So even if you planned on keeping it long term, but for some reason sell it in the future and you've developed it, well, you've increased your value there too as well. And so the land that you originally purchased, you're definitely going to get a nice ROI on that. Okay. And then here's just an idea. So it might be as simple as you just want to buy the land to build your dream vacation home. Maybe you want to rent it out. I don't know. Maybe you have family members, snowbirds that come in and out of town, and then you'll just share it with them and you can share the expense. A lot of ways to get that accomplished. So this is just VRBO. It's an example of a little cottage here with the palm trees and things in a probably most likely familiar vacation destination. Now this looks kind of small, so you'd have to definitely, as we just talked about, make sure that you understand the allowable dwellings on the land when you're going to build. Make sure you understand what's allowable, what their requirements are to tie in, if there are utilities, if you need to develop the septic or dig a well, have a well drilled. Make sure you understand what the county is going to require of you prior to buying the land. That way you've already set the table so you don't have any issues when you start building. And the great thing about buying land is that as long as you work through the exercise of what your end goal is for that property and then reverse engineer it, you can buy with confidence. And that's the way to buy land. Okay. I want you to make sure you understand exactly what you want to do. Make sure that that is able to be, realized at that property with talking to the land owner or land company selling it to you, and also the county. And we always recommend you call the county just in case they say something different than they told us, because we call the county for all of our land. So definitely make sure that you do some due diligence, trust but verify, right? So that's what we do. And why would we recommend any different to you all as the buyer? That's the same way we buy. So definitely have a great vision and build that out exactly what you want to do, and then start to reverse engineer that and ask questions based on that from the proper entities and get that information, because you can build a great home, you can have a great legacy and tradition. Find that mountain cabin and have it built exactly to your spec. There's a finance guy online that I watch a lot, and they talk about having a family constitution. They talk about a family legacy and having a family retreat, and also having a family crest. And the symbolism are the values and characteristics that the family holds dear. Maybe have that made and put it up on the mantle. But The idea is that you can take this land and you can develop it so many ways, but you can be intelligent in the way you develop your land for scarcity, and maybe you need a bug out shelter, all the way up to including your dream vacation property or retirement. Maybe you're going to move from the north to the south to your retirement property. And as I stated in the other video, that's kind of a very Ramseyan way to back into why you should buy land. First, get the emergency situation handled, which if I own land, I have a place to go pop a squat if I need to legally. Now, again, if it is such civil unrest and things like that, you know, there's no government or police out there preventing anyone from popping on your property anyway, which is, again, why you would want to develop it, have security, have it be secluded away off the beaten path where hopefully no one would discover you if you needed to get away from things for the safety and well-being of your family, make sure there's enough food, etc. But then at the same time, you can kind of overlap those circles in some situations on the right property to also be a great little family mountain getaway or southern getaway, wherever it is, wherever it might be. I'm just trying to present concepts for you all to kind of take a look at and consider as you're buying land and developing a land portfolio. And by the way, I do encourage purchasing more than one property, more than one piece of land. Maybe find different areas and different demographics, because you don't know what area might have issues. I don't know if the Northeast area might be where there's government breakdown, right? I don't know if the Northwest or Southeast, I don't know. So if for some of you that are more homestead prepper survivalist minded, you might want little cash bug out properties almost all over the United States. So there's always a place to go. And then obviously you need to develop what your transport and transportation plan is to get there. But it just kind of depends on you. Again, I just want to lay a bunch of things on the table. You decide to what degree you're interested in that, but a lot of different things you can kind of take a transparency and lay it over the piece of land you're looking at, why you're buying it, and be very, very intelligent and strategic on what you believe is best for you and your family to buy land. Okay. So again, I just wanted to go through this video, present on our first reason on why to buy land. That's peace of mind, legacy, tradition. It can serve as a bug out property in the right situation. It could even overlap as a homestead, vacation, and retirement property. You could have all four in one there. And on top of that, as you develop that property, you're just developing the value. If things stayed a-okay, maybe you want to sell it 5, 10, 15 years from now, you're going to definitely get your money back. Land is pretty stable. I know, again, it's not as sexy as some of the other things, but it's very stable. So just wanted to present this to you. Think about this as you buy your land. Start building your land portfolio today. Even if you're buying smaller parcels of cheap land, I'm going to restate this. There are folks in the government and companies and large billion-dollar real estate entities. They're just buying up single-family homes a dime a dozen. Just the other day, I saw an article. Zillow was buying homes, and they would buy homes in a neighborhood, and they would buy homes 1 through 6 for say $300K. Well, then right down the street, they'd buy homes 7 through 10 for $400K, thereby creating promoting the 300Ks to increase in value. And now Joe and Karen buyer are now getting priced out of the market because they're artificially elevating those real estate prices. So just another thing to consider is if you have a home or land, I say hold on to it. Do I know everything? No. But I think what you're going to find 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now is that a lot of this that's going on right now, it can be prevented with the Great American Buyback. If average citizens maintain their current primary residence property, don't sell it to a company so that we're all renters, and maintain a land portfolio and develop themselves, we can maintain the ownership of the terra firma below our feet, and our grandchildren can, and on generations to go. Okay, so I don't want to make a terribly long video. Hopefully this is great food for thought for you guys that are considering buying land for a number of different reasons. But this is number one, and we'll continue to go through other monetizations and other reasons to buy land and develop your own private portfolio of land to develop. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the website, usrecland.com, and also our YouTube channel, and ring that notification bell, or click it, I should say. You can't ring it virtually. Click it so that you're made aware of new videos just like this one at US Rec Land. Thanks. Take care, everyone. Homeowner.
Hey there, this is Chad Search at New American Funding, and I am calling back off of your home quality inquiry. And I would love the opportunity